Another crisis may be brewing with North Korea as they continue weapons tests. Development of long-range ballistic missiles that reach the U.S. homeland also continue unabated. Robert King is the Korea chair and a senior advisor at the Center for Strategic and International Studies. Bob, welcome to the program.
Good to join you.
The North Koreans are accusing the U.S. of, quote, hostility. What are they seeing that they consider hostile?
Anything the United States does is basically hostile. Their interest is in dominating the entire Korean peninsula, and anything that we do or anything that anyone else does to hamper that is hostile.
Why has North Korea been conducting these missile tests now? Are they simply trying to get some attention? Like, what are they actually looking for with those recent tests?
Part of it is there's a certain logic as to when the tests are needed. When you're developing weapons, you know, at a point you need to test, and then you can go back and evaluate the tests and make the next steps. So there's that logic, which is the logic of moving forward on their missile testing program and their missile development program. On the other hand, they're usually timed to create as much political influence or create as much political problem for the United States and South Korea as possible. And that's basically what happens.
So what kind of problems are they looking to cause the U.S.?
Right now, South Korea has a president who's about to leave office. He has six months to go. There's a little bit of opportunity here to try to do something that might help set a pattern for a different North-South relationship. They're anxious to do something to press the South Koreans to make concessions before President Moon leaves office. They're not getting a lot of attention from the United States right now. The United States is focused on broader issues in terms of dealing with the threat of China in Asia, and North Korea is not the #1 U.S. concern, and it's always helpful to be at the top of the list. And periodically, you fire a missile to remind the U.S. that they're there and that they're causing problems.
Well, sanctions are still in place against North Korea. Are those working?
The sanctions certainly have worked in terms of slowing down what the North Koreans have done. It's created problems for the North Koreans. It's created difficulties for their economy. The economy in North Korea is in very, very dire situation right now. They've got shortages of food because in part of weather. They have difficulty in terms of importing products because of the sanctions. Probably right now, even more important is the difficulty of COVID. The North Koreans are paranoid about COVID affecting them because their healthcare system is so fragile, and they're just stopping a lot of trade that otherwise would be flowing. So it's a difficult time for North Korea.
You know, Bob, I wonder what the message was, do you think, that the North Koreans took from the American pullout from Afghanistan?
You know, I think that one is a mixed bag. On the one hand, the United States has the capability of projecting power halfway around the world. We're able to carry on activities there. We're able to send, move large quantities of personnel and material. And this is a huge distance from the United States. It's a clear indication to the North Koreans that we have the ability to project power in the area where North Korea is most concerned, in East Asia. On the other hand, there are questions about how consistent the United States will be. Will the United States pull out if things get tough in South Korea, for example? On the other hand, I think one can argue that 20 years of involvement in Afghanistan has indicated an ability of the United States to persist in terms of what we've been doing there. Al-Qaeda is very different now than it was 20 years ago. We have changed the dynamic in terms of terrorism. So, you know, I don't think it's an all one way or all the other in terms of the impact of Afghanistan on North Korea.
So, Bob, how does our competition with China play into how the State Department, the military manage North Korea's nuclear ambitions?
One of the things that has been particularly well done in terms of dealing with North Korea is that we've managed to maintain cooperation with China, with Russia, with other leading countries in the world to limit North Korea's nuclear capabilities. There's no one that wants to see North Korea develop greater nuclear capability, greater missile capability. And the fact that we've been successful in terms of working with the Chinese and the Russians in terms of doing that is a real accomplishment. On the other hand, the broader relationship between the United States and China is much more complicated. The Chinese have become increasingly assertive. Hong Kong, naval presence. And so our relationship with China is a difficult one. There are areas where we cooperate, like North Korea, but there are other areas that in many ways are very significant. We don't cooperate, and we're trying to limit their capabilities.
All right, well, Bob, we'll leave it at that. Thank you so much for joining us.
Glad to be with you.